What's going on, Knicks fans? Welcome to another edition of the KFS pregame show. My name is Andrew. His name is Mensa, and we are here to preview the Knicks' upcoming matchup against the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons come in at 5-17 at 15th place in the Eastern Conference, one of the worst teams in the NBA. One could argue there is no excuse for this game to not end in a Knicks victory. We will get to that in just a second. The Knicks come in at 9-11 after two very close losses that could have gone either way. They sit at 12th place in the Eastern Conference, and because this league is this league, they are 3 games behind the Indiana Pacers for 4th in the Eastern Conference, the almighty 4th seed. Mensa, we like to talk about what's going on in the Knicks universe and the hot topics and the conversation amongst the Twitterverse, as some might call it. I'm just going to throw this out there. We're not going to talk about it today, but Sean will be here tomorrow to talk about Evan Fournier and a take he had on one of the Twitter Spaces shows. We'll talk about it tomorrow in depth, intelligently, and respectfully, of course. For those that may be wondering if we'll address that, we will tomorrow, I promise. Having said that, I do want to talk about the Knicks closing the last 2 games. Jalen Brunson, I believe he is clutch. John pointed out some really intelligent, really deep stats about his closing numbers, which is under 5 minutes per game, less than 5 minutes a game within 5 points. He's been outstanding. He is making just about every shot. There's 2 shots he's missed recently that, unfortunately, because he missed them, the Knicks lost the most 2 recent games. They're not in that position if he doesn't make all the shots leading up to it. The stat that he doesn't have a turnover in this situation, under 5 minutes a game, less than 5 points deficit or lead, he doesn't have a turnover in this stretch, is ridiculous. I've seen some pushback that maybe the offense could be a little more creative, that it can be more than just Jalen Brunson go do something. They have some other options, but I personally am fine with what has been the plan over the last 2 games. What do you think, Mensa? Do you think there should be another option, or do we just kind of let it ride with our all-star candidate right now?
Who else is taking the shot?
I mean, glad you said it.
let's be honest about it here. No, I hate this idea that you should diversify your offense in the clutch. No, you do not diversify your offense in the clutch. In the clutch, you give the ball to your best players and you get the hell out of the way. Unless you don't have a best player, then you can do all the fun. Then you can do all the fun stuff. Like last night, Tyrese Halliburton had the ball in his hands to close the game against Los Angeles, and then he passed it out, and that guy hit a 3-pointer. Great for that guy. But the reason that even happens is because the ball was in the best player's hands, and they were willing to live with the results. You're not going to win. Like, nobody bats 1,000. Jalen Brunson is not going to bat 1,000. Luka Doncic doesn't bat 1,000. So I don't understand this idea that, the ball should have been in somebody else's hands. No, not at all. At the end of the day, he got great shots. Here's the thing. Is Jalen Brunson creating good looks for himself or for his teammates in the clutch? If the answer to that question is yes, then if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Bingo.
I'm 100%. He was open. He missed the shots. You live with that. Does it suck in the moment? Absolutely. But I personally am more process over product. And I love the process in the clutch when it comes to who has the ball. If you want to talk about lineups, we can get into lineups. But when it comes to who should have the ball, the answer is Jalen Brunson today, tomorrow. And until this team finally lands the elusive superstar, it will be Jalen Brunson.
All right, I'll take the bait. Let's talk about lineups for a minute. What lineups are you looking to see that we haven't seen yet so far?
In the clutch, you do not need both RJ Barrett and Julius Randle because one or the other, like if you want to go and if the answer is last night, the answer was RJ Barrett should have been on the bench for Quentin Grimes. The way Quentin Grimes played Ja Morant was outstanding. For him to not be in the game down the clutch, like Cam Reddish is a good defender. Go back and watch the footage. You will see Cam Reddish being flat out lazy. He let Ja Morant get a step on him, and once he got the step, he's in the paint. It's over. Having Mitchell Robinson and Quentin Grimes was the elixir to stop John Morant. He wasn't playing that great in the first half, and then he ends up with a 27-point triple double. I wonder why. I think when it comes to lineups, and this has kind of been a situation with Tom Thibodeau dating back to last season, he does not play situationally his best five down the stretch. He goes to guys who do not deserve the minutes. RJ Barrett should not be playing more than 29 minutes a game right now. He's over, I think I in the group chat, I think I said he's at 40, 37, and 41 in the
last
three
games. Yeah.
What are we doing? Listen, you can say what you want about RJ Barrett. I'm still a supporter. I still stand strong with him. You don't play a guy struggling the way he's struggling, the amount of minutes you're playing him. And Thibodeau again did the same thing last year with Julius Randle. So if there's any gripe that I have personally, it's we need to adjust to the situational. We need to be playing situational basketball when it comes to our lineups. Quentin Grimes needs to be in the game when you have Ja Morant on the court. If he's not in the game and he doesn't have fouls, that's a coaching issue. And I think that's where I'd leave it.
So to your point, I'm glad you said that it's RJ that Grimes should have closed over, because look, it's funny that we're here again where there's a person that Tibbs is playing a lot that people have a problem with, especially with the way RJ is playing. He made shots the other night, so I don't want to say he was unplayable. The defensive end of the floor, though, and like shout out to Benji who pointed out in his film session that like Grimes was the only effective plan they had against Ja the other night. That whenever he was in the game, the point of attack defense was much stronger. That's when Ja struggled the most, is when Grimes was on him. And to go with
really quickly, I just want to ask: Did Benji watch the film 3 times?
I definitely watched it once. I'll tell you that much. Look, I'll never understand the politics of a basketball team. I'll never understand. I actually did understand more so last year why he went to Julius more often, because the offensive side of the ball demands advantage creation. And whether we like it or not, Julius creates advantages, whether, they actually lead to points, who knows? But I've conceded he's not the most creative offensive coach, but that was neither here nor there last season. This season, man, I wonder if it's a we're at game 20 type of thing, Mensa. If the sample size is still small enough that it's like, you know what, RJ's earned the right to play through these struggles. I'll try. His shot is falling tonight. I'll let him work through it and keep us in the game, to spite a guy that still has like 3 more years of team control, like Quentin Grimes. If that's the plan, it's not necessarily like in the moment. I was like, either Cam or RJ have to be out for Grimes right now. He also, as far as lineups goes, one thing I've noticed is if a lineup is cooking, he'll let it play. Like he'll let this one lineup that is finally coming back in the game. Like the game we were at, the OKC game, we saw that fourth quarter Evan Fournier, and it was like, okay, I get why this lineup is playing. This is the only thing that has looked any hint of alive offensively. And he knows the only way that he's going to get anything the rest of this game is benching Jalen Brunson and benching RJ Barrett. And like, it probably went too long, and he probably, went too far with it. But that's something he tries to ride the hot hand when he doesn't have a clear set 5. Look, I'm here for more Quentin Grimes. I'll just say that. I'm also here for less RJ Barrett, which is not an indictment. I'm with Mensa. It doesn't mean we hate RJ Barrett or that we think he's a scrub, that he's gone.
You can play him 31 minutes.
Right. That's what it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean like his crunch time. Like you can close a game with RJ Barrett if he's not working. Like the first road game against Utah where he was sick, right? And I think it was even the second game against Denver where he was sick. One of those games, RJ didn't close, and they went to Cam and IQ as the 2 wings. Like that should be in play right now. The RJ's minutes decreasing so that way these wings can get more time. I am very much here for. And I wonder again if it's just a sample size thing. We needed 7 games to decide Evan Fournier should be out of starting rotation. We needed six more out of the starting lineup. We needed six more to decide he's out of the rotation. Do we
We is a
need?
very strong word.
Well, okay. Some of us needed one game to decide that he was out of the rotation. My point is, like, as an organization, the Knicks needed. All right, we gave this 7 games. Now we're pivoting. Then they went like a 6 or 7 game stretch. All right, we saw it. Now we're pivoting again to a 9-man rotation. We've seen enough of Grimes. Now we're back to a 10-man rotation. I wonder if we're a couple games away of RJ continuing to struggle, that it's like, okay, I'm going to go longer with Grimes and Cam out there, or quickly out there. And RJ, like you said, is down to 29 minutes. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens. This team could definitely use some better defense on the floor. And I think you're onto something, that the elixir for this team might be, it's not even might, should be splitting up RJ and Julius as often as you possibly can. You have anything to add before we move on to the next topic?
I do want to say that I feel like I lost my point, but basically, my big thing about the New York Knicks, stuck in the middle as we are, we have at least 10 NBA rotation players. When you look at Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors, nobody deserves more minutes per game than a man like Stephen Curry, especially what he's doing this year. He has never, since Steve Kerr has taken over, and I haven't checked before, played more than, I think, 34 minutes a night. We do not need to be going down this road of playing our best players. And right now we don't really know who our best players are. We know who our best player is, but players, I don't know. We do not need to be going down this rabbit hole of, oh, he needs to work out of his slump, this, that. He can work out of his slump in 28 minutes a night. And I felt the same way about Julius Randle last season. I feel the same way about RJ Barrett this season. But our coach clearly has a very, very he's very rigid in the way he does his rotations. He's very rigid in the way he coaches guys. And to continue to play a guy like RJ Barrett, who is playing, had a game.
He made shots the other night.
He made shots offensively. Defense, the effort is not there. As a defense first coach, when the guys who have 2 of the 3 biggest contracts on your team are not playing defense, and you're looking at all the numbers, and the numbers are telling you you are a bottom 5 team defensively, give the guys who are playing defense more minutes, especially in the game when you're playing against one of maybe the 5 to 7 best offensive engines in the NBA in Ja Morant. You had a chance to win that game. The Knicks had a chance to win that game. They gave it up the minute they did not put Quentin Grimes back in the game in the fourth quarter. And Jalen Brunson could have saved the day, and I would be looking like an idiot today.
That's the thing. They did have a chance even with the defense.
But here's my thing. You know? The way I look at it, again, it's not about process. I mean, it's not about product. It's about process.
Yeah.
The process from the coaching standpoint, when it comes to lineups, was bad. And we have to be honest about that. We have to be honest that not putting in Quentin Grimes, who was, as Benji said, your only answer against an MVP candidate. Like, it to me, it's just like, what are we? Why? Like, that to me is more frustrating than RJ missing shots, than RJ Barrett and Julius Randle not playing defense. It's when you have guys who are willing to give you the effort that you claim that you want, who's willing to make the rim reads and play the defense and do all the Tibbs idioms. You have guys on your team who are willing to do that. And instead of doing it, to me, it's a bit disappointing. Well, not a bit disappointing. It's very disappointing. And I'm going to continue to harp on it and talk about it, because we need our coach to give us the best chance to win. And the way he can do that outside of his philosophy is put the guys on court who deserve to be on court.
I'm not there yet with that. He never does this, though, because we are at a rotation where the offense is like very close to 11th in the NBA. The defense, he's like trying to figure out lineups that stop people, and there isn't. I'll hear it. I'll hear out that there's like a decision, a game where I'm like, I wouldn't mind if Jericho Sims was in for more than this. Like the last two games, it's literally like Jericho Sims for 3 more minutes and RJ for 6 less. And I think the Knicks have back to back wins. You know, um, they also like had a chance to win the game anyway, and they went either way. I can't fully put this in that corner. You know, Mensa. Like it's just not. I can't fully put it on him.
They had a chance to win the game because Jalen Brunson is a special basketball player that's having a
Right.
special season, and yeah, we give him credit for playing the special guy. But at the same time, it's like, okay, can you say that Tom Thibodeau did everything he could to put the Knicks in the best chance to win the game?
Again, I think it's easier for us to say this year. Why don't you bench RJ? Why don't you sit this guy down the stretch more? Like months after, 20 games after, they just gave him a $120 million extension. Like Zach LaVine sat at the end of a game, and he's been extremely inefficient this year. Going through the All-Star candidacies for all these different Eastern Conference players, when I got to LaVine, it was actually alarming how bad he's been defensively. He sat one fourth quarter, and it was a game the Bulls made a comeback and ended up losing at the end. And it became like a national story as a result that Zach LaVine got benched because he threw a tantrum. Like the last thing we need is for that to happen in New York, because maybe it backfires on Tibbs. Maybe Grimes doesn't get out of his shooting slump. Maybe he does help with the point of attack, but maybe they lose anyway, and you've benched RJ down the stretch. You know, that's why I think it's more complicated than we're making it. That it's like, well, you need to play player X over player Y. You know, that's the only pushback I get. I agree that I would have benched RJ down the stretch. I cannot say that I know or understand what goes on behind the scenes as a result.
Well, it's not even about benching RJ Barrett for me as much as it's about not playing Quentin Grimes, who was your only answer against Ja Morant. You can live with RJ Barrett on Dylan Brooks. You don't need, well, I would prefer to have Cam Reddish in the game. Let's be honest. I would have preferred to have had Cam Reddish and Quentin Grimes as my wings over RJ Barrett. But not having Quentin Grimes in the game, a guy you drafted over a guy you traded a fake a fake first round pick for, in Cam Reddish, who was getting beat by Ja Morant, like that to me is the coach not putting his team in the best position to win, and that's discouraging. It's not discouraging for me because I kind of know who Tom Thibodeau is at this point, but I wanted to see Quentin Grimes in the game. And I know I'm not the only Knicks fan who wanted to see Quentin Grimes in the game. You didn't have to play Cam Reddish. Like if you want to move RJ Barrett to the Cam Reddish role and get disappointed because he's not playing the defense that he's supposed to be playing, cool, no problem. But the point of attack in a defensive scheme might be the most important for a Memphis Grizzlies team that relies on Ja Morant to penetrate again and again and again. So not having Quentin Grimes in the game to me is more egregious than not benching RJ. Like I can live with RJ being on the court. I can't live with Quentin Grimes not being on the court. Quentin Grimes had to be on the court. That's the big thing for me. And because Quentin Grimes was not on the court, the coach, in my opinion, did not put his team in the best chance to have success down the stretch in that game. And if Jalen Brunson was special, okay, no problem. Jalen Brunson is special. But hey, it's a make or miss league. He missed the shot.
Fair point. Fair point. Look, I'm in agreement. I thought Grimes should have been in there down the stretch. Cam was playing so well. That fourth quarter comeback was because like Cam was on the floor, which is why I understand him riding with Cam. We've talked about this game too much. I think the Knicks were literally a bounce on the rim away from winning back-to-back games. That we could be having a different conversation here, especially the All-Star conversation if Brunson had made most of those shots. Okay, let's get to, I want to do something with you and go pull up the Eastern Conference standings real quick. So the Knicks are currently sitting at a 12th in the East. So behind the scenes, Mensa and I have been talking a lot today with the rest of the Betting and Sweating crew. Who do you definitively think that's ahead of the Knicks now is better than the Knicks? So let's just get the obvious ones out the way. Boston's better. Milwaukee's better. Cleveland's better. I think healthy, so is Philadelphia. Those four. Mensa.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Toronto. I have them better. That's 5.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Indiana.
Indiana has the best player on both teams.
Yes, I would agree. Tyrese Halliburton is the best of both teams. Healed, I think.
He should be starting in the All-Star game, if we're being honest.
I
Tyrese Halliburton has been lights out.
I just people go listen to the KFS Patreon where I just made the campaign that he should be starting over Jaylen Brown. Yes, very much I agree. I will put Indiana ahead of the Knicks because of how Halliburton is playing. They have had a very easy schedule to start the year. So there's a regression due for them. I would put those 6 teams ahead of the Knicks.
I'd also argue that they are perfectly built for Tyrese Halliburton with Miles Turner and Benedict Mathurin playing out of his mind for a rookie who has a case to be 6th man of the year and rookie of the year. And with Buddy Hield, like they play 5 out, they spread the floor, they give Halliburton all the room in the world to operate. And I'm very happy for Tyrese Halliburton, who's being empowered, which is something that this franchise knows nothing about. But we'll talk about that another day.
Gotta get the side swipe in. I see you, Mensa. I have Brooklyn better than the Knicks because of KD. I think
Kevin Durant is back in that action. Oh my God.
I have. So can we talk about Miami? So Jimmy Butler's only played 13 games, but he's the best player on the court. Bam would be the second best player on the court. I do think a conversation is there between Brunson and both of them, especially when you look at the impact advanced metrics. Miami being 10 and 11 and a negative point differential. They're a negative net rating as well. What can I make the case that it's at least a toss-up? I'm not saying the Knicks are better than the Heat. I'm saying it's a toss-up. I came into the season saying the Heat are a play-in team. They're in the play-in right now.
I can't agree with you there because 10 times out of 10, in my opinion, Spo is going to outcoach Tibbs. And that matters in a playoff matchup, especially when like head to head is what I guess I'm talking head to head, but Spo is going to adjust. I don't trust Tom Thibodeau to adjust. And because of that, I also like Hero's looking pretty decent. Lowry still has life.
Is he back? Hold on. Is Hero good? He was like terrible for like the first couple of weeks. Keep going. Keep talking about Lowry. I'm looking at it now.
I don't know. And at that team, at least like has feng shui, like at least they like the pieces make sense together. Whereas we still don't know. Well, we know definitively that the Knicks pieces don't work together. So I'm not too high on the Knicks being better than Miami because the pieces don't fit, and Miami has a coach who is at least a full tier ahead of Tom Thibodeau.
You hit it. The coaching difference is going to be the biggest difference there, and
Hero has not been good. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like Kyle Lowry not been good. Tyler Hero not been good. They're trying to make this Oladipo thing work. The Duncan Robinson piece of it all. He's on the trade market. There's a lot of pieces that aren't working. I really thought they maxed out as last season should have been the year, and they were a Jimmy Butler jumper away from making the finals.
Yeah.
And now the regression is coming because this is a very old team with a lot of inefficient young pieces that I don't know, man. I'm not. You can only get so far with, and this isn't like anti-Heat propaganda that I spend sometimes. Like you can only get so far with these second round picks that you found or these undrafted free agents that you turned into NBA players. Atlanta. So they've lost 3 straight. Hawks Twitter, from what I could tell from Sean's algorithm creeping into my timeline because his replies end up in my timeline. And it's like, oh, he's interacting with Hawks fans. I don't think I know the Hawks beat the Knicks. I want another, like, you'll find out next Wednesday. I want another shot at the Hawks with this new rotation where Evan Fournier is not in it. I'd like another shot at the Hawks. DeJounte Murray is barely he's in the All-Star conversation. He's barely below Jalen Brunson as far as the conversation, as far as I'm concerned. What I meant to say was Trey. Okay, so Trey Young's been horrifically inefficient this year. Has a similar effective field goal percentage to RJ Barrett. Because of his impact on the Hawks offense, he still has a lot of love in the advanced metrics. But when you talk about Trey being inefficient, you then go to DeJounte Murray. He's been just as inefficient. This team's two best players aren't shooting well. They let Kevin Huerter just kind of walk for no reason. I guess they traded him for no reason, and they probably could use like a shooter that could stretch the floor like that right now. And they're a team that's not known for their defense. I'd like another shot between the Knicks and Hawks. Is what I'm gonna the land that I'm going to occupy right now. I don't think it's that much of a difference.
The minute Trey Young wakes up, it's over. The minute Trey Young wakes up, that conversation
counterpoint.
Is
the minute RJ Barrett wakes up, it's over.
I would love
Where
to
are
believe
you,
that.
RJ Stan? Huh?
I would love to believe that. And personally, I do believe that, but I know I am on an island by myself there. RJ Barrett is, I think, with what he's doing offensively, if the defense catches up to it, you have a very valuable contributor, and it's very hard to find players with RJ Barrett's two-way wing potential in the NBA. There may be 12 guys who can do what RJ can do at his best in the entire league. He's immensely valuable when he's doing what he needs to do. However, Trey Young, I have way too much respect for as an offensive engine. Personally, I don't care for the Hawks. I remember, I don't think I made this claim online, but I do think that the Hawks trade will go down as one of the worst trades of the decade. It's since been one-upped by the Rudy Gobert trade because does that look terrible. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about this year, I do think that the Hawks are built to succeed when Trey gets it going, and I just can't see Trey Young having a year as bad as he's currently having. I think he's more likely to, more than any player in the NBA, I think he's more likely to regress to his mean. So I don't think that the Knicks are better than the Hawks. I'm sorry.
To be clear, I do think that the Trey Young will get better. I think as you mentioned, there's not much room for them to improve the roster because of the trade they went all in for with DeJounte Murray. And as a theme will be when I talk about the Knicks, like, I think a lot of players will eventually regress to their career shooting numbers. I think RJ will shoot better than he is right now. I think Quickly, I think Grimes, I think Cam, I think Jalen Brunson will all shoot better from three. And as a result, like, all of these issues that the Knicks currently have will get better as the season goes along. I also think the two Hawks main guys will shoot better. I just don't know how much better it makes them because
that defense with Trey Young is never going to be good.
Exactly. Like, it's one thing to like, the Knicks are last in 3-point shooting right now, so there's nowhere to go but up. But they're improving offensively. Like, they've gone from 20th to 14th in offense, and they're only getting better. And part of that is because they've eliminated long twos completely. But having said that, the Hawks, there's a fundamental flaw, it seems, in their team. And look, we'll find out next Wednesday when we preview them, and I dig into them a little deeper.
Dare I say the Hawks need a player like RJ Barrett. Not this version of RJ Barrett.
Not this version, no.
But they tried to make DeJounte Murray into this wing scorer, and he's not that. Like, he doesn't have, I don't think he has the gravity necessary to, like, command. I don't know. It's weird because, like, guards kind of need the ball a little bit more than wings. To me, the ideal wing is what I saw in Carmelo Anthony in 2013, where he could spot up for threes, but where he made most of his money was in the mid-range and attacking closeouts, right? Carmelo Anthony, pump fake, one dribble, 17-footer was money. And I think that is what you need next to a player like Trey Young, like a Chris Paul, things that Chris Paul never really had in his career. I mean, he has it now with Devin Booker, but Devin Booker's to me is 4 inches too short.
Yeah.
Um, like that kind of player is what Trey Young needs. And again, it is immensely difficult to find guys like that, because when you find guys like that, their name is Jason Tatum and they play for the best team in maybe the NBA. So I agree that the Hawks are a mismatch of teams, and they're trying to find their way the best they can. And I'm sure they wish DeAndre Hunter was that guy, but he's not. And finding the guy that they need to make that whole puzzle works is the most difficult thing to do in the NBA.
So dare I say, you said that RJ would have been perfect for that team. Dare I say Cam Reddish might have been the wing that they could probably use right now. I think it's more of a toss-up than you do. I listen, they won 2 more games. And look, someone in the chat said like the Heat have a better record than the Knicks, therefore they're better. And like they've barely played Jimmy Butler.
I just want to shout out Sean in the chat holding us down. He
What up,
agrees
Sean?
with you.
Thank you, Sean. Well, I'm shocked that Sean is his anti-Hawks agenda is agreeing with me. I appreciate it though, Sean.
I'm
I'm
anti-Atlanta. So
listen, let's go Mets, right? And remember when I used to watch baseball and I hated the Atlanta Braves? So I will say it's a toss-up. We'll find out next Wednesday if I'm way off and the gap is much bigger. Okay, it's time to talk. First, Knicks are better than Chicago Bulls. They play them 3 times in 9 days in the coming weeks. The Knicks are better than Chicago Bulls. You will see it in that stretch. Okay. Let's talk about Washington, because there's an old friend who, when I went through his stats for the most recent Patreon pod, it was very clear that not only do the Knicks, not only is he back to like that first half of 2018 version, Kristaps Porzingis, but he's the version that the Dallas Mavericks really could use right now, which is a funnier narrative to spin, that they like went all in on trading KP while getting out while they could, yet they could probably use a guy that's as efficient, as high volume, and is able to stretch the floor next to Luka right now. Now, one could argue he's in a different role next to Bradley Beal. I'd argue it's actually the exact role that they should have had both of them doing over in Dallas.
It's the same role.
Yeah, Porzingis has been balling so far right now. I'm more inclined to say it's closer than like the Wizards are 7th, the Knicks are 12th. Best player on the floor for either team is Bradley Beal, and it's a toss up between Porzingis and.
I don't know.
When you go deeper at the numbers, it's Bradley Beal. I'll say that.
Man. Bradley Beal has been. Well, I mean, as a gambler, like Bradley Beal has been such
okay. So you're
letdown.
That's where you're going to. Okay. All right.
I'm looking up his numbers. I don't think Bradley Beal has been better than. Yeah, no, he has not been better than Jalen Brunson this season. I think right now Jalen Brunson is a better basketball player than Bradley Beal, and that's not any Bradley Beal agenda. He just hasn't been the guy that the Wizards expected they were paying $250 million. And I do want to say quickly about Porzingis. Back when I used to comment on knickerblogger.net, there was a nickname for Porzingis, the November Man, because when it was November, like that, but before December 15th, Kristaps Porzingis is all world. But like his body type, when it comes to like the attrition, he just wears down again and again and again. And if I could quickly pull up his numbers for like month over month, you will see like November is Kristaps Porzingis' best month. And so, I mean, it's still November 29th. So Kristaps Porzingis has December and January and February and March to let us all down. And you know who he won't let down? Me, because I've seen it coming with this guy. He's not somebody that you can expect like month over month to be this person who just had a 41-point game against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
First of all, you were right. I went back to my cheat sheet for the All-Stars that I used for Patreon. I have Jalen Brunson ahead of Bradley Beal. I would agree with that.
And it's not even, it's definitive. Like it's not even a discussion this season.
I will say, if you go to effective field goal percentage, Bradley Beal is worse. It is not worse. It's much better. It's a 57.7 for Bradley Beal. It's a 53 for Brunson. Yeah. Exactly. He's shooting better. unfortunate. The other end of the court, though, Brunson ironically has been better, which is more to say that Beal's been worse. And as a result, the advanced metrics favor Brunson as well. Uh, I Porzingis. I don't want this to turn into Randall. Me turning into a Randall stan or a defender here. I will just say I have no complaints about Julius Randle's offense this year.
None.
Much to the way that I'm singing the praises of Porzingis offensively. You could make the case offensively Julius has been just as good. The problem is there's another end of the floor where he's been one of the worst in the NBA. So it's impossible to fully talk about how good he's been offensively. It's why he's not in any All-Star conversation. I think in a one-on-one matchup, though, shit, I want to see it. And look, they're going to play the Wizards, and we'll get some type of clarity in the not too distant future. So we'll see. That being said, I have 8 definitive teams better than the Knicks, and then I have 3 teams. I have 2 teams that I at least consider it a toss-up between Miami, Atlanta. 3 teams, I guess, that I think Miami, Atlanta, Washington, and the Knicks. I think it's a toss-up.
I think the Knicks have a better roster than the Indiana Pacers. I don't think it's quite close, but Tyrese Halliburton has those boys humming, and it may get to a point. February 17th starts rolling around, and the Pacers like, Tyrese, we really appreciate everything you've done for us, but we're gonna sit you down because we got to get this draft pick.
That's a fascinating aspect of this. Do they do the Westbrook trade, buy out Westbrook, he goes home and sits, and like you said, Halliburton,
treat him like SGA.
I need a month from now to revisit this and see where the Pacers are, because if there's like a losers of 10 of 15 stretch, and they're under 500, they're closer to where the Knicks are in the standings. Do we see them take a step back and prioritize that draft pick?
Honestly, I think it's hilarious how personally I think like Utah and Indiana are like with their fingers crossed waiting for the other shoe to drop so they can start the tank. Same thing with OKC. They're just waiting for the other shoe to drop where it's like, why are we good? This was not the plan.
Well, Mensa, speaking of starting the tank, there's one team that already started their tank this season. And it's the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks are playing the Pistons for the 3rd time this year.
He got a head start. They said, Cade Cunningham is out. Yes.
Here's your graphic for the Detroit Pistons. Those of you who are return guests, you know this already, but if you're here for the first time, what I like to do is present all of the things that the opponent is top 5 in and all the things that the opponent is bottom 5 in. Here's your chart. So the Detroit Pistons are 5-17. They're last in the Eastern Conference. They're 3-6 at home, which, do the math, they are 2-11 on the road. And they're actually 2-3 in their last 5. Shout out Kevin Knox. They are top 5 in free throws made a game and free throws attempted a game. That doesn't mean they make free throws a ton. They're about 13th or 14th in through free throw percentage, but they get to the line a ton, and as a result, they make a ton of their free throws. And they get a ton of possessions. Like, I don't even know if that's a stat. I just didn't think it made sense, Mensa, to put just 2 things in the top 5, especially when I go to bottom 5 and they're 29th in defensive rating, 29th in net rating, 29th in assist percentage, 27th in assist to turnover ratio, 30th in effective field goal percentage, 28th in true shooting, points a game, field goals made, field goal percentage, 3 points made, assists per game, blocks per game. This is one of the worst teams in the NBA, despite Bojan Bogdanovic having a pretty decent season on really good efficiency. This is, Mensa, an inexcusable loss, as it was the last time they played the Pistons if they were to lose and didn't cover against the Pistons, which I'm assuming is why the line is what it is right now. I teased before, Mensa, and then we kind of got into it a little bit with the lineup talk, but like I was going to ask you about Detroit's Mount Rushmore all time, because I have nothing to preview about this Pistons team. There's nothing to say. The Knicks are much better. They should win this game despite it being on the road. I don't care how good Alec Burks has been since they've come back. They're still bottom 5 in all these categories. Like, Who would you say is on Detroit's Mount Rushmore?
You gotta go Isaiah Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Personally for me, Chauncey Billups is on that list. Let's go Bill Laimbeer and
Over Dumars.
and then I don't want to put three bad boy Pistons, but I was either thinking Dumars or Rodman. I have a ton of respect for what Dennis Rodman did as a basketball player. So actually, no, let's revamp that. Let's go Isaiah. Let's go Dumars. Yeah, let's go Isaiah. Let's go Dumars. Let's go Chauncey and and give me Grant Hill was really good, but he got hurt.
Grant Hill is where I was gonna go.
Yeah,
Where's Grant Hill
was
in all
really
this?
good, but he was only there for like 4 years, wasn't he? And he never really won anything in Detroit. I'll go Grant Hill. I'm not gonna go with Rodman, even though Rodman won 2 chips with them. I'm gonna go Zeke, Dumars, Chauncey, and Grant Hill. Yeah.
So Grant Hill played 6 seasons in Detroit. Averaged easily his best 6 seasons in Detroit, by the way. 21 a game, 21, 8, and 6, back when that was like revolutionary to have a guy averaging those numbers, you know? It's one of those you had to be like our age to see it, you know? The Grant Hill thing is why a lot of people when brands put out those aggregation polls, like who's one player you wish you could see play a full healthy career, a lot of people say Grant Hill.
T-Mac, Grant Hill, those are the answers.
T-Mac are my two those quite literally my 2 answers right there, so I agree.
And Derrick Rose. I'm sorry.
Derrick Rose is on there. Yeah.
Derrick Rose is on there.
Lord. Other candidates, Ben Wallace won Defensive Player of the Year 4 times or 3 times. I think in the early 2000s he made first team All NBA or first or second team All NBA a bunch of times.
Yeah, you could probably go Ben Wallace over Dumars. I wouldn't hate that.
Again, Joe Dumars, Finals MVP. Like it's why
it's hard.
We should ask a Pistons fan. That's a job for when the Knicks play the Pistons next year. I'm going to ask a Pistons fan and get them on the show. It's time for betting and sweating. Shout out to our friends over at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or download the WynnBet app or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. That's bet $100, win $100 at wynnbet.com. Download, bet, win. Betting and sweating. The Knicks line for tonight. This thing it was 5 when I was doing my research earlier, Mensa. It is down. The Knicks are only favored by 4 against one of the worst teams in the NBA. What is going on? What is going on?
The disrespect.
I'll go on the record. So, XJ, who is not here, is taking the Knicks money line, and the odds have only gotten better for him as the time has gone on. So you're welcome, XJ, that you're getting them at minus 190 rather than at the minus 250 that it was when I was doing research earlier. You see, in real time, the odds are getting better. A lot of people think the Knicks are going to lose tonight. So I'm going to go my player prop first. And I'm going to stick with what is working and go down to Jalen Brunson, points, rebounds, and assists. And I will say at plus 125, he will get 35 plus points, rebounds, and assists. Where are you going with yours?
So I just want to read out some stats against the Pistons since Isaiah Stewart has been out. Evan Mobley, 20 points, 13 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton, 28 points, 12 rebounds. Lauri Markkanen, 13 points, 8 rebounds. Nikola Jokic, 31 and 9. Sabonis, 15 and 13. And I think there was one that was a little bit better after that, but I just want to read the last 5. Okay. I am going Mitchell Robinson, points and rebounds. I think they have it at 16 points and rebounds. Is that where
16 is minus 222, 18 is minus 115.
Oh, they caught up to me. So yeah, let's go 18 then.
18. Okay.
Because when I was looking at it, like 16 was like plus 120 or whatever. So yeah, Mitchell Robinson in his past 2 games has been over 20 points and rebounds, and that was against Steven Adams and Yusuf Nurkic. I do not know who is playing center for the Detroit Pistons, and I do like that, especially with Quentin Grimes in the lineup. They're looking for Mitchell Robinson more because now Brunson's looking for him. Now Grimes looks for him, and RJ Barrett always looks for him. So I expect Mitchell Robinson to dominate the glass, and I'm bringing out the very, very rare hammer for this. I'm hammering the prop. So
Well done. So Sean sent me a screenshot of WynnBet having the odds of 20 plus for Marvin Bagley points and rebounds at plus 120. I think the odds caught up to him too, because 20 plus points and rebounds for Marvin Bagley is at minus 179 now. So we will honor the plus 120, but for the sake of the graphic, it is at minus one. Now it's at minus 164 in the parlay. I swear that what is happening that people think that it's 50-50 tonight, that the Knicks aren't going to be able to take care of. Like, they just lost. It was a down the stretch game against the Memphis Grizzlies the other night. The Knicks can't beat the Pistons on the road now
the
because
Pistons
of
have
that
been
game.
tough. The Pistons have been tough. I think they just beat Denver in Denver. And I think they beat Utah or something like that. Or yeah, and they played.
I have
They
their most recent
played.
keep going. I have the most recent schedule here. Their
They
last five.
played Phoenix. They lost by 8 in
Yeah,
Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
So
lost
I
to
mean,
Cleveland by 8. You're right.
they've been playing teams tough. So personally, if you look at those, like Garland and Mitchell shot uncharacteristically bad. Same thing with Devin Booker. They've just been shooting poorly against the Pistons, which I think the Pistons have been like a wake up game for a lot of teams, where it's like, I don't really got to play these guys. They're the Pistons. They don't have anybody. And then the Pistons are playing really tough because Dwayne Casey always has his team playing well. Like last year, I think the Pistons were great against the spread in the last 2 months of the season, and that's carried over to this season. So I think it's really just the Pistons are not going to roll over, and the Knicks can't defend anybody. But luckily for the Knicks, the Pistons can't shoot threes.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Pistons can't shoot threes, they can't beat the Knicks. So I think XJ's money line bet is very safe, and I think a lot of bettors who are leading Detroit tonight are going to be very disappointed.
I think this is almost.
It's also Julius Randle's 28th birthday tonight. So
hey, happy
it's
birthday,
a shame
Julius.
that when none of us took a Julius Randle prop. I wanted to take Julius Randle but here's the thing with me. The Pistons are a team that gets beat up in the front court, and it's Julius Randle's birthday. The play is too perfect. I can't take it. But if anybody wants to take Julius Randle, tonight is the night. The Pistons can't guard a soul in the paint. It's his 28th birthday. Listen, tonight is the night to bet Julius Randle. I just won't be doing it.
Hold on. It's his birthday. And you know what? I end up being by default the Julius Randle defender here at KFS. So what I will do is toss out what's been working and get rid of my Jalen Brunson points, rebounds, and assists and go to Julius Randle. At plus 135 points, rebounds, and assists for Julius Randle tonight. I will take it. Happy birthday, Julius. Do not fuck me over, okay?
Listen, I think they been in Detroit all like for more than a night, or did they get there today? Because if they've been in Detroit for more than a night, those Detroit strip clubs get a lot of NBA basketball players, and nobody talks about it. So, like when I saw the night that the Garland and Mitchell, I'm like, were they in the strip club last night? Because like they were shooting terrible. I think they were like 4 for like 21 at one point. So I don't know. Like he might have. He's a married man, so he probably will be.
That's the thing. I don't know how much of a strip club visitor that Julius Randle is. Like he seems much more of like I'm on FaceTime with Kaiden and Jace.
There are 3 cities that you have to worry about with the strip clubs. It's Detroit, Atlanta, and Miami. Those are the 3 cities that you have to worry about. Oh, and Houston. Mm-hmm. You really got to worry about the Houston strip clubs. So that's my only thing that I could see this going wrong is Julius Randle was at the Detroit strip clubs last night.
Well, but I hope that isn't in play, but we'll see. So these are our picks for tonight. XJ's got the Knicks money line at minus 185. Hold on, I'm gonna get rid of the banner. You've got Mitchell Robinson points and rebounds at minus 115. Sean, they're coming back towards you. You got we'll go with the screenshot he sent me and say it's at plus 125 for points and rebounds, at least 20 for Marvin Bagley. And then I'm going points, rebounds, and assists for Julius Randle at 35 at plus 135. Those are our betting and sweating picks for today. Shout out to our friends one more time at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app now or visit www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today or receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. That's bet 100, win 100 at WYNNBET.com. Download, bet, win. Any final thoughts before the game tips off, Mensa? We should mention Emmanuel Quickley is available to play. That was questionable earlier. And we do not, I'm going through now just to make sure I didn't miss the starting five tweet, but let me double check. We have a starting five. Brunson, Grimes, RJ Barrett, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson is a starting five in Detroit. Any final thoughts before we tip off?
Knicks need this game. There's no reason for the Knicks to lose. The Pistons are unhealthy. The Knicks are healthy, with the exception of Derrick Rose being out. There is no reason the Knicks should lose this game. They will either win the game or they will lose the game. Detroit will not win. It's that simple.
I agree. And even more so, I may join you guys in the much more fiery Tibbs hot seat banter if they lose this game, because then we're looking at a stretch of, because this would be the first truly awful loss. Like they've like the loss to Portland the other night. You understand Anthony Simons getting hot, and like they've had these defensive issues all year, but like those games happen, right? Like it's probably the worst one so far. Losing to one of the worst teams in the NBA, the worst team in your conference, that's bad. And it will set off a chain of events that I don't know if this team recovers from if they don't win tonight. I do think they win tonight. I do think they cover tonight. I do not think this fourth quarter will even be close, which is why I'm going to count on my head coach that in a blowout, he will still put Julius Randle back in the game to help me hit my over in points, rebounds, and assists for this game. Mensa, thank you very much for joining me tonight. If you like Mensa, if you don't like Mensa, give him a follow on Twitter. His name tag is in the handle. If you like me, or if you don't like me, you can follow me as well, but do me an even bigger favor and head on over to the YouTube channel and give us this video a like and this channel a subscribe. Knicks tip off in a matter of moments in Detroit. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We do this an hour before every game. Hopefully this was an hour before a W. We'll be back tomorrow. You will want to tune in to what Sean has to say. I'm just going to say that you will want to tune in tomorrow. That is the only thing I'm going to say. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Knicks Nation, let's ride.